kind of a load. Look. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
Please be seated. The President of the University.
Mr. Rector, members of the Board of Visitors, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today marks the end of the 187th academic session. These exercises are the university's most joyful occasion when we gather to award degrees and celebrate the achievements of the graduating class. Today, we are conferring degrees on the candidates from the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Tomorrow, we will confer degrees on the candidates from the university's 10 other schools and the Data Science Institute. I should acknowledge we are celebrating this weekend's final exercises without some of our student athletes. As you may have heard, members of the women's golf team and the men's golf team are competing in the NCAA championships. And the women's and men's tennis teams are in the quarterfinals of the NCAA championship tournament. We wish these student athletes luck. Our music today is provided by the 392nd Army Band from Fort Lee, Virginia, under the direction of Warrant Officer 1, Kevin L. Pick. The Army Band has performed at our final exercises since 1998, and after 18 years, this will be their last year with us. Please join me in a round of applause for the Army Band from Fort Lee. I also ask you to join me in a round of applause for 63 members of your class who yesterday were commissioned as second lieutenants or as ensigns in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. I want to recognize some important members of our leadership team who are also graduating from their posts. After 25 years of service, Bob Sweeney will be stepping down from his position as Senior Vice President for University Advancement next month, though he will stay on for 1 year as an advisor. Through his work, Bob has influenced the university in profound ways, and I'm grateful for his service and leadership. I also want to recognize Martha Seitz for her leadership as interim university librarian as she steps down for a well-earned retirement. Thank you, Martha. Today's ceremony is a celebration of the efforts of families as well as students. For parents whose sons and daughters receive degrees today, we acknowledge your commitments that began long before your students came to study here. Our admiration extends to grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other family members who encouraged these men and women in their academic careers. We also recognize the spouses and children of some of our students who also made sacrifices and offered encouragement to make this day possible. Students, please join me in applause for your family members. These final exercises also celebrate the contributions of our teaching, research, and support faculty, and the staff members who work in many different occupations across the grounds. Each diploma symbolizes the vitality of our faculty's endeavors, their passion for learning, their efforts to engage students in intellectual discourse, their ability to inspire the pursuit of knowledge. Staff members provide critical support for the academic enterprise. Students, please join me in a round of applause for the faculty and staff who guided and supported your learning here. Of course, the greatest accomplishment belongs to those of you who earn your degrees today. You have committed yourselves to values that define this university: academic excellence, honor, service, diversity, leadership, and accountability for yourself and for your peers. You have lived what you have learned. The knowledge and habits of mind you have acquired at the University of Virginia will become tools for leadership in the world to which you go.
The rector of the university.
Well, good morning, and I again want to thank all of you for coming, and particularly the parents, and of course, well wishes to you students. I would not be doing my job very well if I didn't let y'all know how hard some of the people, all the people here, and the staff and your deans work all year to try to make this a great university. And I thank Terry, I should call her President Sullivan, I'm sorry. Terry, thank you for all you're doing. Just to give you an example of how hard she's worked, tomorrow after graduation, she'll be heading to China and Singapore for a couple of weeks with some other people. Tom, thank you. Pat Hogan, thank you. All the deans, I want to just thank very much for all y'all have done. I can't let this moment go by with not recognizing our past rector, George Martin, who's sitting right here in front, smiling. He is so happy. I don't know whether it's because you're not rector now, George, but you certainly are smiling. But he was given an award yesterday, the Gordon E. Rainey Award, and for service, and so congratulations, George. You are well deserved. The people here at the university are so helpful and they work so hard, and I really do have about a 15-page speech that I have been drafted for me to read, and I've decided to not do that. But I thought I would take just a moment, and when I was reading the speech and making a few corrections, which I'm not going to give to you, I thought about when I was graduating from college, and it was some 54 years ago, so it's been a lot that's taken place. And I jotted down some of the things that I remember at least were going through my mind. And I thought I would tell you what those 5 or 6 things were, at least for me, and then I'll jump forward about 4 or 5 years and tell you maybe how some of them worked out. But the first one that I remember was I was so glad I didn't have to take any more exams and any more tests. I really did. I was worn out. I was an engineer, and I think that all they like to do is give you tests, and then exams weren't any better. I truly was worried about my friends because we had been together for so long in one location, and now we were spreading out. And I just thought, and I remember, how will I keep up with all these great people that I've known? Now, I happen to be one of, like the 63 that Terry mentioned. I was going into the ROTC. I was an ROTC graduate, and I was going into the military, and I had no idea what that was. That was back in what was called, quote, the Cold War, and Vietnam was beginning to heat up, and so it wasn't a very pleasant time. But that was all just sort of concern about what in the world is going to happen. I didn't have a job because I was going into the military, so I really didn't know what my career would be. It was sort of unsettling, and I don't know how many of you graduates will today have to start providing your own welfare, but I had to sort of accept the fact I had to pay my bills when I finished. So I was a little worried of how I was going to do that. And then the last thing, and this sounds, I'm not trying to be funny, but I really was worried about parties and girls because I had a good time in college. and I was just sort of worried of what would happen. So they were some of my thoughts. Now, some of my answers, I did go in the military. I was stationed in Germany, and I spent almost 20 months there, and I learned one heck of a lot about the rest of the world. We have the internet today, but if you go back 54 years, people didn't know that much about the world. I debated whether I'm going to say this because y'all could think I'm a bad person, but I learned how to play cards pretty well in college, and I actually doubled my income playing cards when I was in Germany, and I used that to travel, so I saw all of Europe 2 and 3 times during 20 months. I did make a living. They actually paid me to be a lieutenant, and I actually bought a sports car, so I felt like I'd accomplished something. And believe it or not, while I was in Germany, I decided I wanted to go back to school. And that's how I wound up here at Darden, because I figured that maybe tests weren't so bad, exams weren't so bad, so I came back. I made a lot of friends, both in the military and at Darden, and we've remained together for years. And the last thing I wanted to let you know about the girls and the parties, I did find a girl, I did get married, and we are celebrating our 50th anniversary. Now, it's with a great pleasure that I'm going to introduce the speaker. She is a wonderful lady, and we're just fortunate for her to join us today, and I'm sitting here trying to find the notes. It is really my distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today, a writer, a teacher, a lifelong scholar. Rita Dove has blessed the university, the state, and the nation with her poetry. Among some of her most notable accomplishments, she has served as the Poet Laureate of the United States and consultant to the Library of Congress, as well as Poet Laureate for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Ms. Dove has been nationally recognized, receiving a total of 25 honorary doctorates from places like Yale, Dartmouth, University of Pennsylvania, just to name a few. Prior to joining our university faculty in 1989, Ms. Dove taught at Tuskegee Institute and Arizona State University. Ms. Dove's publications include 9 books of poetry, numerous projects, plays, major musicals, contributions, and even audiovisual productions. She awarded the National Medal of Art in 2011 by President Obama and the National Humanities Medal in 1966 by President Clinton. She is the only poet to have received both presidential medals. Ms. Dove has been the recipient of dozens of awards and honors. If I were to list every accolade Ms. Dove has received, we would be here till probably tomorrow's finals, if not later. We are honored today to hear from a woman who embodies the university's image of what it means to be a true scholar. Ms. Dove is praised by her students and esteemed by her colleagues and by her community. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Rita Dove.
Thank you, Rector Goodwin. President Sullivan, esteemed faculty and alumni, long-suffering and now relieved parents, jubilant relatives and friends, but foremost, you, the graduating class of 2016, despite the weather, this is a glorious morning. Congratulations. Now, asking a poet to speak at commencement seems both a no-brainer and a provocation. After all, poets deal with words all the time, but they also strive to distill language down to the most necessary syllables in the most haunting song. The prospect of addressing a new generation of adults coming from wide-ranging disciplines all gathered here one last time on these grounds before scattering in whichever directions your passions or your jobs will take you, well, I can't help but think of what Mark Twain said about the biblical Adam. How lucky Adam was. He knew when he said a good thing, nobody had said it before. So let me say a few good words that couldn't be truer. I am extremely delighted to be here today at the very institution where I have been teaching for the past 27 years. And although, thank you. I can't believe it myself. But although I have given commencement speeches before, this one is different. This one is personal. The job of a commencement speaker, I Googled it, so it must be true, is to, quote, dispense life advice. That seems the very opposite of Percy Bysshe Shelley's definition of the poet as a nightingale who sits in darkness and sings to cheer its own solitude with sweet sounds. So I will not give you advice. The last thing you want to hear is advice, because in order to be effective, advice must be specific, and that obviously is impossible in this setting. So instead of advice, I will give you wishes. Just think of me as a crafty fairy godmother or wily genie. I wish you hunger. Of course, I don't mean physiological want, but a continued spiritual and intellectual appetite, a hunger to know more, do more, feel more. When you entered this university, you wanted to eat the world, and everyone else wanted you to do was to get good grades. And though your dreams may have been more nebulous then than they are now, they were no less intense. As one of my graduate students reminded me recently, passions are hard to come by. So keep that hunger, nurse it, stay curious, want it all while it lasts. I wish you hard work. By that I don't mean back-breaking labor or the drudgery of a treadmill, but an appreciation for the work that comes before the big show, getting ready, honing your tools, observation, research, practice. You know, the actress Lupita Nyong'o gives herself homework whenever she has an audition. And the classical flautist James Galway once said, "You can sight read better if you know your scales and arpeggios." Now, when my father sat me down for the "You're Going Out into the World" speech, his message was very short. Always be 150% prepared, he said. At 150%, you'll be ready for anything, even if you're not chosen for the job or the position, although you're the better qualified candidate. As the first African-American research chemist to break the color barrier in the tire and rubber industry, my father knew how it felt to be passed over. And I think what he was trying to tell me was the last person to hold you accountable is you yourself. In most cases in the world, you won't be asked for more than 75%. In fact, depending on your race or gender or other conditions, sometimes you'll be underestimated even more and won't be expected to give more than 50% of your capacity. But only you will know if you've done your best. So focus on that rather than on what others think your best is. Because if you allow others to tell you your worth, you will have given up on yourself. For me, a shy kid who trembled before giving class presentations in high school, the 150% I had not ever expected to need came in handy when I received the phone call that I had been awarded the Pulitzer Prize and would have to hold my first press conference. It was a very steep learning curve, let me say. And 6 years later, when I was named Poet Laureate of the United States, that 150% emboldened me to write a letter on this university's letterhead to the then President-elect Clinton, suggesting that the White House spotlight the arts during Arts and Humanities Month. And then in October of that year, 1993, as my husband and I rushed to Pennsylvania Avenue right after my inaugural poetry reading at the Library of Congress to join the White House celebration and state dinner in honor of the arts and humanities, I used every bit of that 150%, I can tell you. So, your third wish, I wish you uncertainty. There's only so much knowledge that can be taught. Hard facts are just that, solid, dense entities. You could call them the stones in a swiftly flowing stream of possibilities. You cannot wait for revelation to come down upon you in a cloud of gossamer and angelic sighs. More often than not, you will have to seek it out. And sometimes you don't know where you're going, but the only way you'll find out is if you go. That doesn't mean that you rush off willy-nilly screaming, "I'm going to conquer this world." But you do need to be bold enough to step outside of your comfort zone, even if it's scary out there. Now, one of the greatest gifts you've received at this university is an apprenticeship in the investigation of ideas, learning how to think, how to follow the trajectory of a thought, when to proceed methodically or to pursue a tangent. All of these techniques for navigating the path to discovery without getting lost. Compare yourself to an explorer whose sextant allows him to read the stars and figure out which way he is going. whose portable laboratory enables her to analyze plants and determine which ones are beneficial and which are poisonous. Between that kind of knowledge and the wide, wide world are a host of unknowns, both pitfalls and bounty. And let's not forget terror, because let's face it, breaking new ground may be exhilarating, but it is also terrifying. If you are lucky, on some level you will always be a student. If you're lucky, you will never lose the sensation of terror that precedes discovery, nor the delight that follows. And this memory will help you forge ahead into the next bit of uncharted territory. I wish you the future. We all want that one answer, the secret to success, the key to happiness. I believe success is loving what you're doing more than who people think you are. And as for happiness, well, whenever you can forget what you're doing while you're doing it, when you get so involved that time quite literally flies, then you are doing something right. And when you keep on, even though to do so will totally mess up your schedule, then I could say you're happy. Because whatever it is larger than you, and you are growing to meet it. Psychologists call this being in the state of flow. Musicians say they're in the pocket. Software developers talk of being wired in, and the Greeks blame it on their muses, while LeBron James seems to have taken up permanent residence in the zone. So, I will not tell you in more than this one sentence that you have your entire life before you, since that's self-evident, be that life 90 years or a handful of decades. What I'd like to impress upon you is an awareness that this life is yours to fill. What I want you to remember is that nobody will taste it but you, so you should be looking to fill it with those tasty bites that you want to savor. And if you lose your appetite because someone else has less than you, or you have hoarded the salt, well, that's part of your menu too. I will not tell you to look ahead, since none of us can know what's out there waiting. What I will say is that if you are lucky, you cannot possibly imagine what the future has in store. When I arrived at the University of Virginia more than a quarter of a century ago, most of you were either not yet born or just barely, still scrabbling on hands and knees. At that juncture in time, around 1994 for the undergraduates and somewhat earlier for advanced degree candidates, as you grew up and into yourselves, as I waited for you to join me today on the lawn, what did the future look like then? Think of the things that didn't exist in everyday life. The World Wide Web, global positioning systems, genome sequencing, close-up images from Mars, drones. Some items we now use as casually as reaching for the milk to pour into our Cheerios had yet to make it into the mass market level, like anti-lock brakes and digital cameras. Others were still figments of our Star Trek imaginations. Plasma screens, Wi-Fi, Xbox, not to mention Hulu, Netflix, Skype. What fantastical names we've given these contemporary household tools. Google, Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo, the cloud, iPad, iPod, hell, the entire Apple universe. And let us not forget email. The first web browsers for people who are not versed in machine language came to fruition around the time of your birth. And as you grew up, that E hyphen became a prefix for new digital marvels. eBay, e-book, e-cars. All the tech abbreviations that would have sent Rip Van Winkle screaming back into his pre-Revolutionary War mountains. GPS, TiVo, HD, TV, Wiki, we. And now, think back to when this university was founded. In 1825, there were horses racing down the lawn and a pet bear in one of the gardens. There were brawls and typhoid, flickering candlelight, and smoky fireplaces. I guess there's still smoky fireplaces. The outcome of this great academical experiment was still up for grabs. Even this nation was not yet the democratic success story of today, but a struggling, volatile startup company with grand ideas, wobbly capital, and a slave economy. The future is never a done deal or a safe bet. And I'm using these cliches deliberately because the worst kind of future I could wish for you is one that's already spelled out, that is prescribed or predetermined. When I stepped onto the lawn as the English department's first female African-American full professor 27 years ago, I did not know that I would be speaking to you today, and yet, even at that time, I had already progressed through luck and circumstance and a bit of hard work beyond the wildest dreams of my childhood. When I was a child, if someone would have told me that one day I would dine with US presidents and joke with Big Bird, I would have probably hidden myself in a thicket. So if you cannot imagine the future, how do you prepare for it? There are moments in life, and this might be one of those moments, that offer us multidimensional sense of time, the ability to see ahead as well as look behind you, assessing what has gone before and reflecting upon what has led up to this instant and what will hopefully spiral out of it. Poets call it the lyric moment. Lyric, the word comes from the ancient Greek lyrikos, or lyre, the stringed musical instrument favored by poets of the day. The lyric moment, therefore, is one that sings, when emotions bubble up so thickly they cannot be contained in a paragraph or captured with logic or framed in a snapshot. And so this, my final wish for you, may you have many, many more moments that sing. And since I am foremost a poet, my passion, my 150%, I would be remiss if I didn't leave you with a poem. It is called Testimonial, and thanks to the Charlottesville Mural Project, it is scheduled to become part of the local urban scenery as a public work of art. So when, in years to come, you return to grounds as alumni, you can stroll down to the corner and find these words painted on the side of the Graduate Hotel, 6 stories high. Back when the earth was new and heaven just a whisper. Back when the names of things hadn't had time to stick. Back when the smallest breezes melted summer into autumn, when all the poplars quivered sweetly in rank and file. The world called, and I answered. Each glance ignited to a gaze. I caught my breath and called that life, swooned between spoonfuls of lemon sorbet. I was pirouette and flourish. I was filigree and flame. How could I count my blessings when I didn't know their names? Back when everything was still to come, luck leaked out everywhere. I gave my promise to the world, and the world followed me here. To the class of 2016 and all those who helped you get to here, congratulations and wahoo-wah!
Thank you so much, Professor Dove. And now the chair of the University of Virginia Alumni Association Board of Managers.
Congratulations, class of 2016. In a few short moments, you will become alumni of the University of Virginia. On behalf of our over 225,000 alumni, it is my privilege and great honor to welcome you to our ranks. Welcome aboard. You will now officially bleed blue and orange. And you are a Wahoo for life. Mr. Jefferson once asked, and I quote, "Do you want to know who you are?" Think about that question for a moment. Do you want to know who you are? His answer, don't ask, but act. Don't ask, take action. Action will delineate and define you. Think about it for a moment. During your time on grounds, it was your actions that defined who you were as a student and as a member of the UVA community. Likewise, the actions you choose to take as alumni will define who you are as alumni, and in the future, your collective actions will help define the university itself. I quote an ancient Chinese proverb, "A man who waits for roast duck to fly into his mouth must wait for a very, very, very long time." So take action as alumni, and here's some thoughts on what you can do. Be active, informed, engaged, and caring alumni. Fortunately, you have a strong and vibrant alumni association to help you do so. Join the Alumni Association. Over half of the undergraduate class of 2016 has already done so. Alumni Hall will always be your home away from home. Here's a challenge. Make the class of 2016 the best class the university has ever seen over its nearly 2,000-year history. Come back to Charlottesville for reunions. Last year, a record 3,500 alumni came back for Young Alumni Weekend. Do me a big favor, shatter that attendance record this coming fall. Use career services to help you plan your careers, network with other alumni, and maybe even find your dream job. Your fellow alumni will help you. And remember to pay it forward and help future alumni. Support your women's and men's athletic teams. Celebrate the bowl game that I know Coach Mendenhall will lead us to this coming season. And the Hokies? The Hokies are going down in November. Go nuts with me next spring when Coach Bennett cuts down the net after the Who's win the NCAA basketball championship. And support UVA Arts. Come back in November and attend the wonderful Virginia Film Festival. Participate in alumni lifetime learning programs. We are students for life. Stay informed. Read every page of the Virginia Magazine. And in a few years, and in a very few years, some of you may have baby wahoos. And those baby wahoos will turn into teenagers. God help you. And maybe they may just turn into aspiring wahoos. Our Alumni Liaison and Missions Program will do our best to help them become legacy wahoos. Your relationship with this university is just beginning. I hope you fully develop it over your life and come to cherish that relationship. And remember Mr. Jefferson's advice. Your actions will define the persons you become, not only as alumni, but as citizens of our great country. Congratulations again, and best wishes for your future. Wahoo wah.
The President of the University.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The university is fortunate to have so many loyal alumni who are dedicated to their alma mater. Those of you who graduate today have benefited from the generosity of alumni, parents, and friends who make gifts to the university to improve the quality of life and learning here. Because of their generosity in recent years, we have wonderful new buildings, such as the South Lawn, Bavaro Hall, Rice Hall, Lacey Hall, Ruffin Hall, the Ruth Kaplan Theater, and the Rotunda restoration. We have wonderful programs such as the College Art Scholars and the Cavalier Marching Band. Loyal donors have helped to make all of this possible in recent years. And you yourselves have joined this tradition of giving through your class gift. More than 1,700 members of the fourth-year class contributed gifts or pledges totaling more than $530,000. In the College of Arts and Sciences, more than 960 students participated in the giving campaign. So thank you for the generosity you demonstrated even before you left the grounds. The Raven Society is the oldest and most prestigious university organization. It recognizes scholarship and other contributions to life. With us today are newly elected alumni members of the Raven Society, as well as 2 alumni receiving Raven Awards, George Martin and Dr. Vivian Penn. Will all those people please stand and join me in applauding them? We commend you and thank you for your many contributions to the university. And now, I'd like to share some observations about today's graduating students. There have been profiles of some of you on the university's website and in the Cavalier Daily. These profiles highlight students working in disciplines as diverse as biology, economics, politics, art, religious studies, and sociology. I encourage you to read these remarkable stories. But each student today has his or her own story of hard work and achievement. We celebrate all of your stories today. And all of you can claim a special distinction. By choosing to study the arts and sciences, whether in college or in the graduate school, you affirm the truth that education in the liberal arts remains vital in the 21st century. A broad education in arts, sciences, social sciences, and humanities teaches us to be critical thinkers, to be perceptive of the world around us, to write clearly and persuasively, and to integrate multiple perspectives before arriving at decisions. These broad skills, as much as any specialized technical skill, are fundamental to solving the complex global problems of the 21st century. You prepared yourself for that work by choosing arts and sciences. One group of today's graduates enjoys another distinction because they worked especially hard to complete their degrees early. 102 students from the College of Arts and Sciences earned their baccalaureate degrees in 3 years, and 3 more college students did so in only 2 years. In recognition of their effort and as a symbol of their achievement, these students are wearing orange stoles today, and I would like to ask them to stand up. Congratulations, and I welcome you to the Order of the Orange Stole. Yet another group of today's graduates has a particular distinction. 260 students graduating from the College of Arts and Sciences today are the first members of their families to graduate from college. We salute their commitment to education and their diligence in earning their degrees. Yet another measure of excellence of today's graduates is awards and scholarships. Graduating today from the college are a Rhodes Scholar and a Rhodes Finalist, 6 Fulbright Scholars, a Truman Scholar, 2 recipients of a Davis Projects for Peace Award, and 3 finalists for the Marshall Scholarship. 3 college degree candidates received university awards for projects in the arts, and 29 received Harrison Undergraduate Research Awards. 33 of these graduates participated in the Jefferson Public Citizens Program. 3 received double WHO research grants to allow undergraduate and graduate student teams to work together on research, and 8 received community-based undergraduate research grants. Moreover, you have lived and learned in a truly global university. Nearly 1,000 of this weekend's graduating students came to UVA from other countries, bringing an international perspective and enriching life for all of us. And many of our students represented UVA in the world beyond our Serpentine walls. About 30% of this weekend's graduating undergraduate students participated in some form of education or research abroad. And we know you are going forth to a wide range of post-graduation plans, whether you're entering the workforce, engaging in service, or pursuing further education. The degree candidates from the graduate school have accepted professorships and postdoctoral appointments at many places, such as Duke University, Dartmouth, Vanderbilt, the University of Michigan, and the American Academy in Athens. Other degree candidates will go to work at organizations such as the New York City government, the Congressional Budget Office, the Pew Research Center, and the Max Planck Institute for Mathematics. Whatever your futures hold, graduates from the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences are well prepared to bring vision and leadership at every level of their careers and communities they will enter when they leave here. Please join me in a round of applause for this entire accomplished class. All of today's degree candidates are listed in your program, including those who completed the requirements for their degrees in December or last August. For the candidates from the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, we will award 2,950 total degrees, including 2,576 bachelor's degrees, 213 master's degrees, and 161 PhDs. Now, under authority vested in the general faculty, and by it delegated to me, I will award the degrees. The Dean of the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences will present the candidates for degrees. Immediately after these exercises, department graduation ceremonies will take place around grounds. The locations are listed near the back of the finals program. The ceremonies will be held in their fair weather locations.
The Executive Vice President and Provost of the University.
The Dean of the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I welcome you to the ancient and universal company of scholars.
The Doctors of Philosophy will please be seated. The candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts in Physics Education, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Public Health, and Master of Science will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Arts in Physics Education, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Public Health, or Master of Science.
I confer upon you the appropriate master's degree with all the rights and privileges thereunto pertaining. I charge you to apply the knowledge you have gained in ways that advance social good and humane values.
The Masters of Arts in Physics Education, Masters of Fine Arts, Masters of Public Health, and Masters of Science will please be seated. The candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in the College of Arts and Sciences will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and welcome you to the fellowship of educated women and men. I charge you to apply the principles of truth in discourse, of rigor in inquiry, and of pursuit of excellence in your lives, in your professions, and in your engagement with the cultures in which you will live.
The Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science will please be seated.
So a few closing remarks for the graduating students. Today, you complete a portion of your life when you have lived in this community and learned on these grounds. In the course of your lives, you will belong to other communities and cultures. Each will have its own values and customs. I hope you will take with you as you leave here the values that have distinguished you as students at the University of Virginia. Most of us experience times in our lives when it might be easiest to follow the path of self-interest, to keep quiet when truth is obscured, to avoid participating in the fray. And in these times, you may be tempted to compromise your values, to argue the easy point rather than the valid point, and to follow blindly rather than to lead boldly. At these times, consider the three creations for which the university's founder wished to be remembered: Virginia's bill for establishing religious freedom, the Declaration of Independence, and the University of Virginia. Recall that each of them came about as a result of perseverance, sacrifice, and a personal commitment to enduring values. If we have done right by you, you have already absorbed some of Mr. Jefferson's qualities of tough-mindedness, optimism, and determination to effect change. Now, as you go, cultivate in yourselves the tenacity to hold elected officials and yourselves as well to strict account. Engage in the political process that builds durable and systematic change when change is due. Work as educated citizens to protect individual freedom, your own and the freedom of people who depend upon you. Contribute to the work that is essential to sustaining a democracy. And in all that you do, commit yourselves and your fortunes to the common good. These are our fondest hopes for you. Godspeed, and God bless you.
Department ceremonies will begin after graduates and their guests have ample time to reach their ceremony sites. If your ceremony is scheduled to begin at 1 o'clock or sooner, please proceed directly to your ceremony venue. And now will the graduates please stand for singing of the good old song.
I bet I could buy you.
No, but it wouldn't be real.
get to the unhook. So let's be cheers, go. You want to stick his tags and all out?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
What about the Lord?